Hey guys, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to Daybreak Live, where we talk all things literary, and all things authorly, and all things illustratorly, and all things publisherly. Last week we didn't have a live, but this week we are in for a treat because we have we have Reem Faruqi. Reem Faruqi. Okay, wait, hang on just a second. I'm distracted because I'm trying to get her. There we go. Right on. Assalamu alaikum, Reem. So I see that she's joined. There's Miriam. Assalamu alaikum, Miriam. Thank you for coming on. And please give us a hand with all of the links as we go along. Miriam is so good at that stuff, and I always forget them. Assalamu alaikum, Reem.
Alaikum salam. How are you?
That's so lovely. So excited to have you today.
Thank you for having me.
To tell you that I feel like a kid in a candy store. Just looking at all the titles that you've already published. Of course, they've been with us for, what has it been, 10 years since Layla's Lunchbox, has it?
15. I think 7 years.
7 years, okay.
It was 2015 and now it's 2022, so yeah.
Yeah, I know that a lot of readers and a lot of people in the industry consider your books one of those big steps forward into true literature, whereas before, like, of course, in the 90s and the aughts, we had a lot of books that were about those very perfect characters who never did anything wrong. Their only purpose was to show how it is to be a perfect Muslim. It's like the ideal Muslim child. And I know that a lot of people in the industry, me included, consider your books one of those big steps into stories with depth and breadth and nuance. And we really, really appreciate your work.
Oh, thank you so much. That will inspire me to hopefully keep on going because it's hard. Like sometimes I'm like, I don't feel like writing, but I should. Now that I heard you, I'll keep going. Inshallah.
All right, yeah, we're behind you. We're pushing.
That's good to know.
All right, so the first thing I wanted to ask you about is your upcoming, okay, so you have 3 upcoming projects, right?
Yes. Well, yeah, I think so.
Okay, so we have, the first one is your chapter book, right? It's coming out next month?
Yes, I have it right here. I didn't get a chance to grab them all, but and he says it's got a lot of post-its because I marked it up with mistakes and things I want to fix. But it's called Anissa's International Day, and I believe it comes out September 20th, inshallah.
Oh, that's my birthday. Happy birthday to me. That's a good
birthday.
Okay, so tell us about Anissa's International Day.
Okay, so I'm just going to try to read or skim some of the back. So Anissa's really excited about International Day, and she can't wait to share her mom's samosas with her class. But then somebody else has the exact same idea of bringing in samosas, and Anissa's really disappointed. Her aunt's getting married, so when she goes to her aunt's dulki, that's like a wedding party, it gives her an idea for henna or mehndi. But she has a problem. Her best friend doesn't seem to like the idea, and she doesn't seem to like Anissa anymore. And Anissa's thinking she won't get to enjoy International Day. And it's kind of, at the end of it, it's her making mistakes, like we said, those imperfect characters. And I think at the end you'll realize, hopefully readers will realize that before you assume so quickly about friendships, it's good to check in with the other person first.
Ah, I love it.
Like if she had just had a conversation, probably the book wouldn't need to be written, but it was good she made mistakes. So
can I ask you, is that kind of is that kind of situation something that you based on experiences of your own children or of yourself?
So I think I sometimes assume things quickly, but I used to teach second grade, and I also have children right now, alhamdulillah, that are I say fifth grade and seventh and kindergarten, so still young. But I see little mistakes that they do. I did used to do this. When I used to teach, I think I found it online. It's called apology of action. So when somebody does something wrong, like saying I'm sorry is fine, but can you show me that you're sorry? Like,
Mm,
can you do something kind for me? So I think there's more of the teacher in here is does a lot of stuff that I do. Like I would be like, oh, good morning, splendid spellers or marvelous mathematicians. So I think I really had fun with the teacher more than the kid almost because I
oh,
got to put my costume in there.
so much fun. The reason I asked that is because one of my granddaughters struggles with these kind of social situations where, like there are girls who are your friend one day and then they're not your friend, and all of the variables seem to be like very, from the way she tells it to me, the variables are mysterious. And convincing her to just go to the person and talk to them is difficult. She's like, no, I can't because. And there's this list
Yeah,
of reasons why that, that
yeah,
from,
it's hard.
yeah, it's hard for adults. Imagine trying to learn that as a kid. SubhanAllah.
Yeah, I just can't believe you have a granddaughter, but that's really cool. But yeah, sorry, what?
I have five grandkids.
Oh, Masha, that's awesome. I love that. How old is your granddaughter?
My oldest granddaughter is 10. She's the one that,
Oh,
especially in second and third grade, she had these difficulties.
yeah. And I noticed a lot when I taught, kids were sometimes, it was usually girls, unfortunately, a lot of like little friendship breakups, and they'd be fine a couple days later, but it was a lot of like jumping to assumptions. She said that, she did that. And when you talk to them, they're like, oh, I actually didn't mean to do that. It was like small things got thrown out of proportion almost.
Yeah, exactly. Now that we're talking
Yeah.
about you as a teacher, it reminds me that I was so excited to talk to you that I forgot to read your bio.
Oh, that's okay.
No,
I'm not a
I think I
teacher
did.
right now.
Oh, you don't want to do it right now?
Oh, no, no, sorry. I said I'm not a teacher right now. Like,
Oh, you're not
I started
right now.
teaching a few
Yeah.
years ago.
Yes, but you did teach. You did teach in
Yeah,
second grade. I'm
I
sure you taught
taught
other
in
grades too. Did you
public
teach other
schools.
grades or just second grade?
So it's interesting. When I got my job, they told me that they assigned me to kindergarten, and like this whole summer I was buying books for kindergarten,
Oh,
and then literally a week before I started, they were like, "Oh, actually you're assigned to second grade." And I was like, and I didn't know at the time, but I was like, "Oh, well, know how to do things." It was actually really nice. It was hard in the beginning adjusting, but I really love the second grade group. Like, kind of, you said a lot of those little arguments happened then, so I still remember some of that stuff.
hashtag teacher life.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't teach right now. When I had my eldest daughter, I stayed home, and then I did some photography work, and I work for, I don't know if you know them, they're called Islamic Speakers Bureau. We get
Oh,
Muslim speakers into different organizations. So I do scheduling for that. I do less photos, and lately a lot more writing because writing just picked up, I would say 2 years ago. It was pretty amazing. It was like I was writing so many stories, and not no one, but editors weren't really paying attention. And then all of a sudden, it just, alhamdulillah, just started to work out, I guess.
SubhanAllah.
Yeah.
We don't know, Yani, how Allah works things out that all of a sudden you can see his hand and you're like, I'm so glad it happened this way because then this and this and this.
Yeah, and it's the
Domino.
same stories. It's the same stuff. It's just, oh, now they're like, oh, I like that story. I'm like, great, publish it. You know?
Uh, and Allah,
Yeah.
Allah, such a great blessings. Well, we did pretty much your bio already now that we've talked about it, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that when you were 13, you moved to Peachtree, Georgia,
Yeah, Peachtree City.
from Abu Dhabi.
Yes, yes. So
Where
I was
you,
born in,
but not that kind of culture.
sorry, what did you say?
You were used to that kind of climate, but not that kind of culture.
You mean in Georgia?
Uh-huh. I mean, like from Abu Dhabi, you came to Georgia. It wasn't like you came from somewhere cold and went to Georgia.
Yeah. And it was still actually Georgia was freezing to me in winter. Like I
Oh,
wasn't used to winter at all. So I remember being like really cold. Like summer in Atlanta's hot. But Abu Dhabi's like summer all year. But I remember when I had to wait for the school bus outside. It was so
oh,
cold.
oh.
And I
I
would
got,
wear all these sweaters.
oh my God, I can just imagine you. I can just picture you. I have pictures from when I taught in Kuwait. I taught second grade actually, and the girls came to school in like parkas and earmuffs, and they even canceled outside recess because it was too cold. Guess how cold it was?
It's probably not that cold, right? How cold?
67 degrees.
Oh, I was thinking maybe in the 50s. 67. But you know what? I remember when I would wear a cardigan to school, that was a cold day. And it's not, but it was. And I'm guessing it was probably, now that I look back, maybe it was like 80 or 70. And it was like, oh,
Yeah.
it's cold.
Yeah, it's all about what you're acclimated to, subhanAllah.
Yes, and yeah, it's cool. And I wrote about it. So this is the book I really based on moving from Peachtree City, but I actually chose to make the character move from Pakistan just to change it up.
Uh-huh.
But I remember I would wear all these sweaters, and my mom was like, "I think we just need to buy you a winter jacket." And I got like a winter coat, you know. So
That was unsettled, right?
yes,
That was
yes, that's.
unsettled. Can you show it again?
Yes, so that's for middle grade. The illustrator Sumbul Gray, she did the cover. Just so cool. There's like so many
Oh,
delicious
I was
details.
gonna ask you about that cover concept. So perfect and brilliant.
Yeah, she did such a good job. And then she made the hijab like an ocean, which was really cool.
That so many layers of symbolism.
Yeah, because she likes to swim. I love to swim. You can even see the goggles in there. And something cool is if you look at her skin color, it's like a darker brown, which I wanted specifically because in Pakistani culture, a lot of times, like to be fair is like the thing to be. So I specifically wanted a character who was like browner, and to be on the cover was really exciting, and to have that hijab representation. I was like, yes.
Oh, that was perfect. Do you work with the same illustrator, or do you have different illustrators for each book?
No, so I don't get to choose. Typically, I will get a few choices sometimes. Like the publisher might say, "Oh, like so this one is Golden Girl, and this one Anusha Sayed did," and it was. Hold on, sorry, it's hard to hold the phone. It was really cool. It was her name's Afia, and she just did the little shavarkamis and the details. So those were different illustrators. I might have been given like a list of 2 to 3 people, and then I just chose it and went from there.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So, talk to us a little bit about writing in verse. For those of you who may not know, many of Reem's books are written in verse. Are all of them?
No, so
Not that.
just Unsettled and Golden Girl. This one is in prose, and it was really hard. Like, I don't know, for some reason, this felt like a lot of work, and it's like only 90 pages, but still so much work. So, but Golden Girl and Unsettled are in verse, and I just love verse. It's like, so it's shorter. It looks like a big book, but when you open it, it's little pieces of information that you get to stitch together. You can have more white space. There's more emotional space for the reader to sort of process what's going on. And I just feel like verse is really fun. It's not as intimidating to me as prose. It just comes out easier.
Man, Allah, that's amazing. I all of the things that I thought you might respond, verse is easier was not one of them.
Oh my gosh, it's so much easier. Like I have so much admiration for people who write like regular prose and it just flows. Like just to do this, like it just took me so many times, and my editor was like, "Can you add more detail or more?" And I was like, "What?" Because I'm so used to shorter, like picture books are shorter. First novels, I'm giving snapshots. So this was hard. I really had to go in and do sentences and sentences.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
hard. But I
Oh my,
think verse is fun. It's fun. If you've written in prose, verse is like, for me, it's the easier, funner, quicker version.
yeah. Amazing. SubhanAllah. Yeah, those books are really a treat. The ones that are in verse are, like you say, I love the idea of emotional space. You know,
Yes.
white space and emotional space on the page. And
Yes.
yeah, yeah, I think that young readers, although they probably don't identify that, they really benefit from it. SubhanAllah.
Yes, and I think it's good for reluctant readers too. Like I noticed one of my daughters doesn't like to read like very heavy on the words, and she'll read verse a lot quicker. And I think it still gives her that sense of accomplishment, like, oh, I read a big book.
Like, that's what I was gonna say. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
yeah, really
amazing.
cool.
What books did you read books in verse that inspired you, or did you just kind of like gravitate toward it yourself?
So it's interesting. In the beginning, I wrote a book, Unsettled. When I first started writing, it was sentences. But when I sent it to my first agent, a literary agent, she said, "You know what? It sounds like verse. Was that what you were going for?" And I was like, "No." And then I went to the library and I checked out all these books on verse, and I was like, "Yes, I love verse." And then I broke up everything and I made it more lyrical. And I didn't even know verse was like a thing that people were still doing. Like I, for some reason, thought like verse was cool, but I didn't know that it was almost like I needed permission to be able to write. Like, yes, you can
Yeah,
write a
you
book
didn't
in.
have an option. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I checked out so many books like Other Words for Home. I love that one,
That's
by Jasmine
oh,
Warga. That was, I remember writing in verse and I sort of gave up. It was so much work. And I reached out to her and I was like, it's so hard. And how many words? And just word count. And she was really helpful and was like, keep going. And I'm glad I did. And so many good books on verse. Even, I forgot the title, Out of the Dust by Karen Hesse. I don't know how to say her last name. It was really good too,
oh
about a girl living in the Dust Bowl.
yeah.
Yeah, I think dust. But lots of beautiful verse novels, and I literally feel like the last few years, verse is booming. Like there's been so many new verse novels.
You guys are bringing it back.
Yeah.
So, tell us about your two upcoming children's books.
Yes, so I have two picture books coming out in 2023, one in January and one in September, and they're both picture book biographies, which look easy, but are so hard to write because you have to fact check, get details. You're taking someone's life, condensing it into a story, and making it picture book friendly and accessible enough so that kids will want to read it, which is hard, and it's not fiction.
Yes, I know Ruqayya Yaqub, she writes the like Ahmed Bamba and the West African scholars, pardon me, biography like coloring books and activities.
Yes, I need to check that out.
Yeah, the same. Yeah, she had the same difficulty. Like she knew the story. She knew she had that responsibility to the person, which is greater than when you're writing fiction, that she has that responsibility to represent their life well and correctly and accurately, and also put it in the words that kids could understand. There's the rub.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's hard. So I'm gonna check out those books that you said. Who is it by?
Ruqayya Yaqub.
Okay, I
It
will
spells her
check.
name Rukayat.
Okay, I will check for those because those sound really good. So
I'll the info
my
guys social media wise too. I'll put you
Yeah,
together.
perfect, because I really I love reading picture book biographies. Like I read a lot of them. I would say one of the best resources is the library. Like that's where I went to read the verse novels and the picture book biographies I wrote years ago, but it took a long time to get right. Like I wrote it with my daughter. I remember nursing my daughter, having these ideas, and now she's in fifth grade, and now they're becoming books. So it just took a lot of
Yeah.
tweaking. So one is on my grandmother, which felt really cool because it's very close to home. She passed away a few years ago, but it's on her story as an educator. She was told, like, when she reached fifth grade that she'd done enough school, and she was like, no, and she kept on going. She even went to college, which was not as common then. And then when
Right.
she got married, my grandfather, I never met him because he passed away. He told her, I think it's time, like, stay home and, like, don't go to work. And she was trained to be a teacher. And she was like, what? So she invited kids to her home and made it a school at home. And then my grandfather was like, okay, you can, like, and the schools are still functioning. So now she has schools that are still running today just because she was resourceful and she invited the students over.
MashaAllah. Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Milu's Mind, right? Is what it's called? Did I
Yeah,
say
sorry, that one's called Milu's Mind.
Milu's Mind? Okay.
Her name was Miriam, but her father nicknamed her Milu. So then I thought that was kind of different, so I put that in there. The next one comes out in September. Have you heard of the Syrian Olympic swimmer, Yusra Mardini?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay, good. Well, you will inshallah find out. She also has a beautiful book out right now called Butterfly. That'll give you the adult version. I just took a lot of research and did a picture book on it. There is another picture book on here right now called Yusra Swims. It's also beautiful and it's in very sparse rhyming words. And that author, I think Julie Arbery, told her story very beautifully. Mine is like a traditional picture book biography, but it's illustrated right now by Asma Inaya, who's Syrian. So I'm really excited to have her perspective. And the first book, yeah, Miller's Mind, is illustrated by Huda Haddadi, who did like collage work.
Oh,
So
yeah. Her daddy illustrated Drummer Girl.
yes,
Yeah.
she did such a phenomenal job,
Girl,
mashallah.
when we put her bio, we had to edit down the number of awards she has won. It was just like this list that was like 25 feet long. All these international awards, mashallah. She's so,
Yeah,
her
she's
work is
done
so sensitive and connected to the work, to the story,
and it's almost got like this really whimsical vintage feel. Like if you and it's becoming even cooler because she's overlapping tissue paper together to do collage art. And
Wow.
um, they gave me a choice of illustrators, and then when I saw hers, I just kept looking at all her pictures, and I was like, I hope she's available. And I was so excited when she was able to bring the book to life.
She did Deepen the Sahara and
There's others.
she's done, yeah.
Uh, yeah, Drummer Girl is coming to my mind, but I'm kind of stuck. But there is one she did on pirates with this really cute little boy in a bedroom with like that looks like a pirate ship spread.
So much fun. SubhanAllah. She's the kind of illustrator that you just give her the manuscript and set her free. You don't have
Yeah,
to go back and here's the storyboard and here's what we're imagining and here's what oh, wait, did you do this? This is anachronistic in this time, that what you put this kind of oven is not the right kind of blah, blah, blah. It's like
perfect. I did send her like pictures of my grandmother and pictures of like where she grew up, and then I mean she's done such cute details. Like there's a picture of like a samosa wala, like a man who sells samosas, and he has like sounds funny, but like she's like done such detail, like little hair, curly hair on his
oh,
chest, which sounds really funny, but when you look at it, it's so fun to see these little details. These people have like really come to life. Like she's really got the details down, Everyone looks so perfect. Even the animals, she's done like a little horse. It's really cute.
all of her characters have sparkle of life in them.
Yes. I don't know how she does it, but alhamdulillah, it's amazing.
I don't know,
I'm
especially in
just grateful.
works in. You would
Sorry,
think
what?
that in the media that she works with, like the tissue paper and the fabric and the stuff, like how could she make them so lifelike? But she does, subhanallah.
I mean, the emotion is there. Like if you see her mother and baby series, like she's done these mothers with rosy cheeks holding these babies. And when you see them, you're like, oh, I don't know how she does it.
Right in the heart.
Yeah.
Tell us about your photography a little bit.
Yeah, so I love photography. It started out as a hobby. And then when the writing was less busy, I started doing it more professionally. Like in Atlanta, I would do people usually like photo sessions in fall when the leaves are really pretty or spring. It was just annoying when I had pollen allergies, but it was good. I do families. I love photographing children because I used to teach them. So it felt like a dream come true getting to photograph them. It is a lot of work behind the scenes because you're taking pictures of people, right? But then you're coming home. You have to choose the best images. You have to edit them. So that was really hard. It's still hard. So now that the writing's picked up, I've put the photography more on the back burner, and a lot of times I just photograph maybe my kids. Now my kids are getting bigger, so it's a little trickier. Like, it's trickier photographing like bigger kids as opposed to little kids. I don't know how to explain
Yeah.
it, but I still blog about it. But
Because the bigger kids are more guarded. Maybe.
yes, they're more conscious in front of the camera. They sometimes try to make faces,
Yeah.
so it's different. You have to get them candid. But I still love blogging. I started out blogging, so if you just look my name up and you go to my website, I'll still have my photos and my
Yeah.
words. I think blogging is fun.
I love that. And the one that is your what's it called? Header, your slider, your at the top,
Oh, my signature?
facing away, facing the water.
Oh, yes. That's my
The girl
niece and my daughter.
sorry.
Oh, that big picture by the lake?
Yes.
Yes, that's my daughter and my niece. I did
Oh,
their back. Yeah, it was a family wedding. It was so I'll do that. Like I'll take my camera places usually.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would like to ask you a question that we ask everyone is if you could go back to talk to yourself when you first started your writing,
Ugh, okay.
one thing that you would tell yourself, do this
Okay.
or avoid this or try this, or kind of advice for yourself when you started, something that you've learned along the way.
Yeah, I guess a few things. I would tell me to keep saving my work. Like a lot of my stories that I wrote years ago are now becoming books. So alhamdulillah, and to not give up because it really does take time. Like I had a book, Layla's Lunchbox came out 2015, but then for quite a few years, I think it was like 6 years, I didn't have any books published. I was still writing, none of them were getting offers, and now some of them are getting offers. So being patient. Sometimes the publishing industry is really finicky. Sometimes you might write a lot and there's nothing, and sometimes it might just click. You just need the right editor at the right time. So yeah, don't give up, save your work, and have faith, inshallah, that it'll work out. Maybe if the books aren't working, you can try blogging, and that might give you an idea for a book. And if the books, everything sort
Oh,
of
love that.
goes together. Like a lot of times, even when I wasn't writing books, I was blogging and writing and taking pictures, and it's still feeding yourself creatively. In the end, I think, like right now, I need an idea for another book, and I don't have any, but I'm hoping that inshallah it will come soon. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. I love the idea that it all feeds together. Don't feel discouraged like, oh, I can't write that. I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Remember that taking pictures, like keep it in your mind that those
Yeah.
things can all feed each other.
Yeah, even just pressing publish on a blog post, it's maybe not as glamorous as like a published picture book, but it is still publishing your words in some way, you know?
Yeah. A lot, and it
Yeah.
gets your name out there and kind of gets you into the writing community and all of that stuff. And also,
Yeah.
like you said, like people came to your books long after they were published. Just,
Yeah.
it takes one thing, like one little variable, one person to really recognize your work. And then once your name is recognized, then
Yeah.
future work is more recognized. So your old work can promote your future work.
Yes. Like I've heard each book that you write is promoting all the other books. So I thought that was a cool way
Yeah.
of looking at it.
Yes, I love it.
Uh-huh.
All right, so I don't know if you've seen Daybreak Live before, but at the end, we ask 3 questions that
Okay.
have a section called Stop the Presses, where we talk about anything literary and we just ask questions to get to know you.
Okay.
So tell us about your first trip in an airplane.
Oh my gosh. I don't remember my very first trip because, okay, so my father used to work in the aviation industry.
Oh,
So
no.
we used to travel a lot and we used to travel first class because it was so much fun. But I don't know my first trip, but I have lots of memories. We were standby a lot of being in the airport. My mom had 4 kids. And I remember wearing jeans and tennis shoes, which felt really uncomfortable. I would be sitting there waiting. And sometimes we wouldn't, because there are 4 of us, so we wouldn't all get tickets, and she couldn't take one kid. So I
Exactly.
just remember a lot of moments waiting for our flight. But once we got on the plane, it was usually pretty nice. I remember watching movies and like getting ice cream, and we didn't appreciate it, but now I do. So
Yeah,
hopefully that.
wonderful. You were probably completely comfortable with the idea of air travel since your dad had.
Yeah, we loved it. Like, I hate road trips. Like, I'm like, why would I drive when we can fly? I just think road trips take so long. Not glam. I feel like planes are more glamorous and quicker,
Mm.
smoother, fun, usually.
Do you remember the first movie that you saw in a theater?
Um, I don't remember the first one, but I remember loving, Baby's Day Out. I don't know if you watched it.
Oh, yes! With Kirstie
I
Alley and John Travolta?
I don't know who it was, but I remember the baby was like they really personalized it. So I remember Baby's Day Out. I remember Dunstan Checks In. It was with a monkey. That's really funny. Like, I remember I used to love going to movies as a kid. I don't really go as an adult. I don't know.
Yeah,
What is
I
that?
can't remember the last time I was in a theater. I guess we have so much access to movies now.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Like, there's Netflix, and there's, like, I don't think kids will enjoy. Like, I remember going to theater was like a huge deal. We'd like smuggle in our snacks, but now it's like, we don't really go to the theater as much. But yeah, I think PBSP. Yeah, I love Dunstan Checked In and Baby's Day Out. Those are really fun to watch on the big screen as a kid.
Okay, so what do you miss when you were the age of, you were at the setting of Unsettled? What did
Oh,
you
what did I
most?
miss?
Yeah, yeah. And what did you appreciate the most that you found that you hadn't had before?
I think something I really appreciated was the trees. Like, I live in Georgia. Like, let me show you. There's like so many trees,
Oh,
and they're green. We
beautiful.
had a lot of palm trees. We did have flowers and stuff, but it took a lot of work and watering. I think here it's just effortless. The trees just grow. It rains a lot. In Abu Dhabi, it didn't used to rain much. Like, rain was like rare. So here when it rains, sometimes I'm like, oh, it's raining. And I'm like, I remember how magical it felt in the beginning when it used to rain. And something I missed, I would say when you grow up with your childhood friends and you're not with them anymore, I think that's hard because those kids have seen you grow since like preschool. I think I probably miss the people, even the food. And just being in the East, being in Asia, I was closer to my family. Like we were, remember we traveled a lot, so we were a 2-hour flight from Pakistan, so we would go there all the time. And now I'm like 15 hours away, so long. I
Yeah.
miss that.
It's so much more difficult on so many levels when you have to take that big, huge flight like that.
Yeah. Did you grow up here? Like, do you miss anything, or were you always here?
Well, I was always here. I grew up in Kansas. Um,
Oh, nice.
but I lived in Syria, I lived in Saudi Arabia, I lived in Kuwait. So when I was there, I missed 2 things: thunderstorms,
Oh,
because like
yes.
in the winter in Syria, there's rain, but very rarely thunderstorms. And then, of course, they don't really have them in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. You know, like
Yeah,
except sometimes every once in a while you'll get a big deluge, and it'll flood all the streets. And you know,
that makes sense. Thunderstorms are peaceful for me to look at when you're inside.
so beautiful. Yes, when you're inside, it will so beautiful. I love the sound. I love the feeling. I love the smell in the air. I miss it so much. And
You should write a book about thunderstorms.
sorry.
You should write a picture book on thunderstorms. The air and the feeling. It sounds so pretty.
Yeah.
How you described it. What else did you miss? You said something?
Sorry.
You said something else, sorry. After
Oh,
thunderstorms, you said
baseball.
baseball.
Baseball. Yeah, I miss like the sound of the baseball game on TV or on the radio. And when I was growing up, I grew up near a baseball field.
Oh.
Hear the actual baseball games going on, and we would go to them. And yeah, I missed baseball and thunderstorms. Those were the two things.
I love that. That's such a good answer. I used to miss, on the other hand, cricket. They used to play cricket a lot in
Oh,
Asia. So Pakistan, when we moved here, it was a lot. You had to like buy a different channel to watch a show and wake up
oh
at
yeah.
like 4 a.m. because the cricket was played at different times. So it's harder.
Yeah, I need to find out how cricket is played. I've watched it a couple of times. Like, what? I thought it was more like baseball than it is.
It is, but it's different. It is still a bat, but yeah, I think what's hard is that the games are really long. So I think that turns a lot of people away. But if you can get into it, it's really fun.
And the guys who talk, they're so cute. They say all of these slang, like not slang, but jargon words that are cricket specific that I was like, I don't have any idea what those.
Oh, it's like probably for me in baseball. I don't know all the words either.
When I came here, what I missed from being overseas was visiting. You know, like after Dhuhr, you take a nap, and after you take a nap, then you wake up, and between Asr and Maghrib, you go and visit. Go see the uncles, the aunts, the grandmas, the neighbors, the whoever. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. Tea time in Pakistan is definitely much bigger than it is here. There's like no time. You're on the go. But
Yeah.
there, it's like time slows. Just how you're saying, like, you're right. You know, it's like a whole occasion. Yeah, I miss that too.
That whole idea of a different time style.
Yeah, why are we so rushed over here?
SubhanAllah, we are. And the idea that we eat our biggest meal at what would be tea time, rather than eating it at lunchtime, like everybody else in the world, that I
Yes.
think that, you know, hashtag Industrial Revolution. So, but everybody else kind of kept that more, I think, than we did. Like, I know at least in all the places where I was in the Middle East, their big meal would be like at 2 o'clock. That would be, and then your tea, for example, or your evening eating would be much later. So you had that long stretch of time in between that you could. Whereas we come home from work at 5 o'clock, we got to eat 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. You know, like no. Like, SubhanAllah, SubhanAllah. Well, I feel like we got tons of ideas for books just now while we were talking.
Yeah, I just love the thunderstorms.
Thunderstorms, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Because I think you have the details, like the feeling, the way it smells, the way it looks, the way it sounds.
Yeah. There's like an excitement in the air. There's electricity in the air. There, like literally electricity in the air.
Yeah, I was going to say. You should do it.
All right. I will take up this challenge. Challenge accepted. All right. Thank you so much. What a treat. I really, really, really appreciate you taking the time to come talk to us.
It was fun. I loved your questions. Thanks so much for asking them. And I learned a lot from you. So thank you.
All right. Well, we need to kind of keep in touch so we can maybe collaborate on stuff in the future. Please remember, everybody who's out there, reemfaruqi.com. It's, I don't know if you saw the link when it went by. I know Miriam put it several times.
Thank you, Miriam.
ReemFaruqi, right?
Perfect. Yes.
Oh, and I also wanted to tell you guys, if you are building your own website and building your own author presence, take a look at Reem's setup, the way she has her page organized and the way she has her press kit. Take a look at her
Oh,
press kit. She has at the bottom, she has, and I like how you've done it in the same font as the font of
yeah,
it's
that's my writing.
the other links. Yeah, beautiful. Oh, that's your writing? So
Thanks.
cool.
Oh, yeah, I just wrote it because you know what? I got a lot of questions about people like say you were interviewing me, like, oh, can we have a picture? Can we have a bio? And I heard from someone in the publishing industry having a press kit or a media kit somewhere that if someone wants your picture or a short bio or a long bio, they can just click over and get everything you need.
So
And
cool.
then also, someone told me when I was starting out, this was years ago, like I didn't do anything. She was like, start a blog. And I found the blog just so helpful because it got my writing voice, my pictures, and then it sort of migrated to books and still blogging. So, yeah, thanks so much. I'm glad you like the website.
Okay, so quick question. Did you do it yourself or do you have a webmaster mistress?
I wish I had a webmaster. I've been thinking I should get someone, but I haven't so far. A few years ago, I did think of getting someone, but then they said to get the website, then the blog and all the posts would have to go. And I was like,
Oh yeah.
no. So I know it could be simpler, but I really want to keep my blog posts. I feel like that's how I started out. I just want to keep them.
No, I think it has a beautiful, authentic feel and it's well
Okay.
organized, it's intuitive. I think it's fine. It's perfect.
Oh, good, good. I'm glad. That makes me feel better.
All right, y'all, it's time to close up, and inshallah, we will see you next week for another edition of Daybreak Live sometime on Thursday. We don't necessarily keep the same time every week because we have people from all over the world. So
Yeah.
sometimes we vary. You just kind of have to keep an eye on our social media. But jazakallah khair for coming, and assalamu alaikum, everybody. Until next week, keep writing and keep feeling.
I love that. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Nice love. Bye.